as soon as we saw that, we're like, oh my God, this guy actually really went above and beyond. Hell yeah, we need to interview him. Like, this is an absolute dream cover letter to read. I want to show you some examples of what bullshit looks like. There's a few things wrong with this. Number one, this is such a red flag in an application. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So over the last 2 years, I have gone through hundreds, if not thousands of job applications and resumes and CVs. And so in this video, I'm going to give you 15 tips for next time you're applying for a job. And I'm going to show you physical real life examples of people's CVs and the resumes and the cover letters, and what are the good things that I'd be looking for as an employer and that other employers would be looking for, and what are the things to potentially avoid. Let's get into it. In business, in life, in everything, it's a bit like a nightclub in that there are 3 doors. The first door is the door, where people queue up to be let into the nightclub. The second door is the door around the back for the billionaires and the celebrities. But what no one tells you is that in life and in business and in everything else, there is always a third door. And the third door is the door where you go down the alleyway, you like pop open the kitchen window, you sneak in the back, you make friends with the wait staff in the kitchen, and then you kind of get into the nightclub through the third door. Whether it was Steven Spielberg landing his first film gig or Bill Gates landing his first, software sale or whatever, all of these people succeeded by taking the third door. All right, the next tip is to slide into people's proverbial or physical DMs. Now this is a, for example, third door application technique. A first door application technique would be to go on the companies or the creators or the whatever's job pages and be like, are they looking for a vacancy that matches me perfectly? Tick, 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 tick. Oh no, I don't have that much experience. I'm not gonna apply. But actually what you could just do is cold email or cold DM people or companies or individuals who you know are potentially looking to hire, who you might potentially wanna work for. Now here I wanna show you an email that Angus, who is now our general manager, sent to me 2 years ago. Dear Ali, I hope this email finds you well. I've been a long-time viewer of your YouTube videos, and last Easter I sent you an email regarding blah, 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 blah. I'm emailing to inquire today about a separate issue. Blah, 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 blah. I want to basically work for you. I have attached my CV. Do you need anything at all? Now, it just so happened that at the time Angus sent this email, I'd been thinking, maybe I want to hire another writer. And he literally sent the email at the right time, and I was like, oh, hello. This person lives in Cambridge. He's got a Cambridge degree. He seems legit. He's attached his CV. He's clearly done this sort of writing thing before. He's into journalism and stuff. This is the sort of person I need. Let me at least give him a chance. Angus now has been with the business for the last 2.5 years and has ascended the ranks to become a general manager and sort of is doing the sort of thing that he says is his absolute dream job. And as a sort of 25, 26-year-old, there's basically no way he would have had such a cool job had he not taken the initiative to make that first cold email by sliding into the proverbial DMs. The other thing is you might send one of these emails and they might not reply, but you could just send another one and another one and another one. You could send 4 emails in the space of 4 months, and maybe at the right time, the right person will see that email and be like, hey, actually, let's give this person a shot. And this segues to the next piece of advice, which is to be an opportunist. The example I want to use here is Elizabeth Phillips, who is now a YouTuber, linked down below, and she started off about 2 years ago as my personal assistant. And the way she got the job is that she just DM'd me. I was doing an Instagram live at 1 o'clock in the morning for some reason. It was the middle of lockdown, whatever. I was doing an Instagram live and someone asked a question, and I mentioned vaguely, briefly, threw it out there that maybe I'm looking to hire a personal assistant, but I'm not really sure. I've heard that it's kind of good. And what Elizabeth did was that straight after that Instagram live, she just DM'd me on Instagram, knowing that I was on Instagram after the Instagram live, saying, hey, I want to be your personal assistant. I'm a medical student based in London. I'm in my second year or whatever she was at the time. Here are the skills I have. Here is why I'd be really good at the job. And then I was like, oh, I hadn't really been seriously thinking about hiring an assistant, but okay, let's give this a go. And then we hopped on a call, and now she's been with the company for the last 2 years and ascended the ranks to now no longer be my personal assistant and instead help out with really making our part-time YouTuber Academy the success that it currently is. To be honest, there's a lot of people, a lot of CEOs who are on Instagram and have personal Instagram accounts that you can find that are not on Twitter or not on LinkedIn, or trying to get hold of them by email is going to be impossible. But if you follow them on Instagram, you start kind of maybe sliding into some of their DMs, you can actually get a lot of interesting kind of relationships built that way, trying to find the platform that they're active on that there's not zillions of other people trying to vie for their attention on. Now, the way Elizabeth made this super easy is that what she said was, you know what, to be honest, I know you don't know what you want from this, but it's an experiment. Let's just try it for a month. At the end of the month, if you don't like my services, you don't have to pay me. I will just have done the stuff for free and it'll be a learning opportunity for both of us. I was like, damn. The fact that she said that made me actually be like, you know what, let's try it for a month as an experiment. I will pay you anyway because, I had the money to pay. And I was like, okay, cool, this seems very reasonable. But she just made it so easy to say yes. Angus made it so easy to say yes. Anyone who I've hired through these sort of third door channels has made it super easy to say yes to at least giving them a shot. And one of the ways you can do that is by making it seem as if it's like a no-brainer thing for your employer. This is something Naval Ravikant talks about. Fantastic book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Beautiful source of like life advice and wisdom. Naval says is that if he was broke and landed in a new city, the way he would get a job is by kind of building up his portfolio, going after people, and basically offering to work for them for free for a whole month or several weeks, so that it's super, super easy for them to say yes. Like, I didn't realize this until I kind of became an employer, but it's like, actually hiring is really hard for companies. Like, you have to do so much faff to find the right person, and then you know that like, oh, I need to make sure I find the right person, because if I don't, then like they'll be in the company and then it's gonna be a real faff trying to fire them, because I'm gonna need all this feedback and all this constructive criticism and all this. It's such an absolute nightmare hiring and then also firing people, that if someone props into your lap who has the right skills, who's like, hey, I want you to give me a shot. I will, I'll make it super easy for you. If you don't like it, we'll try it out for a few weeks or try it out for a month. You can just fire me, no questions asked. I'm not gonna care. Just anything that makes it easier for the employer to say yes to you will get your foot in the door. And once your foot in the door, obviously you're gonna perform really well because you're actually good at the job. And now you're in this job, which is potentially a job that's more interesting than a job you could have gotten through the standard sort of first door pathway. Right, so if you do want to apply or get your dream job, then to be honest, the work starts way before you actually apply. What you want to do is you want to build a portfolio of skills and assets that will convince your employer to take you on rather than someone else who's applied for the job. For example, Gordon, who is the videographer that we hired after looking through 400 video applications and trialing about 15 different people, ended up actually being selected for a shortlist because his portfolio was really good. Similarly, Jamie, who got hired as a YouTube producer, his portfolio was the fact that he had his own YouTube channel and he had put together this body of work. And even though, admittedly, his YouTube channel wasn't huge, it only had a few thousand subscribers, it was still a level of doing the work that we wanted to hire him for. This is, for example, what journalist and YouTuber Johnny Harris did. He worked at an architecture regulation firm and he got paid to make loads and loads and loads of cool stuff.
You gotta make so much freaking stuff, and I was doing it and I was getting paid for it.
And then through the experience he gained at that, he ended up landing a really kind of legit job at Vox Media doing animations and journalism and stuff. And then that segued into his own YouTube channel, which has become ridiculously successful. But it all started because he was being paid to, in a way, build a portfolio of cool stuff in a job that was somewhat related, but not entirely related to the thing he actually wanted to do. All right, before we get to the next point, I'm genuinely, absolutely freaking delighted to say that this video is actually sponsored by 80,000 Hours. 80,000 Hours is an absolutely freaking incredible organization that I first came across a few years ago when I was trying to figure out, how do I have genuine impact in my career? And it's called 80,000 Hours because that is the amount of time we spend in the average career. And because that's such a huge amount of time, that means that your career is probably the best way that you can have a personal impact on the world. And the whole point of 80,000 Hours is that it's a completely non-profit organization that helps people figure out how they can have an impact on the world. The organization is absolutely sick. They've got a fantastic team behind them, and they've spent the last decade researching what are the highest impact careers in collaboration with academics at places like Oxford University. And if you check out their website, 80,000hours.org, they've got some ridiculously in-depth guides about how to find that perfect career for you and doing impact analysis of like tons and tons of different career options. They've also got a whole page of cold email templates that you can use to get tips for next time you slide into someone's DMs. They've got their own step-by-step guide to job hunting, and they've got a jobs board that has over 1,000 open positions in high impact careers. And all of this is completely free. They're a non-profit that don't charge for anything at all. And the reason they do this is because they want to try and help you and me and all of us find a fulfilling career that does good in the world as well. In fact, side note, one of their co-founders, Will McCaskill, is like, I think he was like the youngest professor of philosophy or the youngest professor at Oxford University, and he co-founded the organization, and he's actually going to be featuring in my podcast Deep Dive pretty soon, where we talk about the concept of effective altruism, which is like, how can we kind of be a little bit more evidence-based about the way that we have an impact on the world. If any of that sounds up your street and you want to find a career that does good in the world and has a positive impact, then click the link in the video description or head over to 80,000hours.org/Ali, and that will give you a completely free copy of the in-depth 80,000 Hours career guide. And hopefully that will help you learn about what actually genuinely makes for a high impact career. It'll hopefully get you new ideas for impactful paths that you can take with your career and with your life, and it'll help you make a plan based on what you've learned and actually put it into action. Feel free to also sign up to their completely free email newsletter where twice a month they send updates, showing what they've been up to and what some new high impact careers are and what some new job opportunities are. So it's just an incredible resource. So thank you so much to 80,000 Hours for sponsoring this video, and let's get on to the next tip. This is an example of one of the CVs that we had, and this literally fills me with dread because it's like 6 pages worth of stuff. And as an employer reading through tens, hundreds, thousands of applications, I don't have time to read 6 pages worth of a CV. It's just not gonna be worth my time. And so something like that is just like, oh, this is really annoying to go through. But this one, for example, is an example of what a good CV looks like for an employer in this sort of field. This is Becky, who is now one of our core team members and on our leadership team. This is a one-pager. It's so easy to digest. It's super nice. It's like good vibes. Typography could do some work, but like, you know, it's reasonably laid out. It's so easy for someone looking to hire Becky to look at this and be like, oh, this is pretty sick, well played, I want to give you a shot. And to be honest, if you do have tons and tons of experience, there's absolutely no harm in tailoring your CV to the specific job that you want to apply for. I think the mistake people make here is that they take a scattergun approach, but you're not going to land your dream job if you take a scattergun approach and apply to 5,000 jobs with exactly the same CV. Like, figure out what are the jobs you actually genuinely want, or you want to actively go for, and figure out ways to adjust your CV so that it fits onto one page, maybe two at the absolute max, but you get rid of all the stuff that is not relevant to that job. All right, so the next point is that when applying for a job or sending a cold email or a DM or anything like that, you want to try your best to lead with value. This, for example, is how not to do it. This is someone who applied for one of our jobs. We have redacted all of the sensitive information from all of the examples that we're going to show you, of course, to preserve confidentiality, but hopefully we can use some of these job applications as a learning opportunity so that we can all just get better at applying for jobs. This is what this one says. I am really excited and I really want to get this position as I really want to work on this so that my experience increases and it will also boost my confidence and my CV. Yes, this is badly written, but also this person is not leading with value. They are leading with like, these are the reasons I want the job. I want the job because A, B, C, D, E, and it's all like selfish reasons. This is not leading with value. Here's another example, which is a bit better written, but again, makes the same mistake of not leading with value. I will shortly be completing my first year of whatever as a history teacher, and I'm very eager to gain experience working in the wider educational sector over the summer holidays. My achievements have inspired me, blah, blah, blah. Then I want to do this with my career. Then I want to do that. Therefore, this internship would be useful. This person, like, I mean, it's very reasonable, and I'm not like knocking these people by any means. I'm really grateful and happy that people have applied for jobs at our company, but like no one teaches you this stuff. No one teaches you how to actually apply for a job. And whether you're applying for a job or applying for an internship, in a way, the employer does not care about you. They don't really care about why the internship would benefit you. They care about why the internship would benefit them as the employer, and then as a side effect, you can talk about why it would benefit you as a person. All right, so those were two bad examples. Let's look at now what a good example looks like. So this is one. Dear Ali Abdal's team, as a massive fan of Ali's content, working as a writer, researcher, intern over the summer would be a dream come true. There are 5 reasons why I believe I am perfect for the role. Number 1, interest in the creative sector. Number 2, understanding content style. Number 3, team working. Number 4, course experience. Number 5, educational sector, etc., etc. Like, this is an absolute dream cover letter to read because this person has led with value. They're saying exactly why we should hire them, and they are doing some of the stuff of like, oh, you know, telling us a little bit about themselves, but they're doing it in a way that leads with value. And honestly, like, a cover letter does not have to be like this whole like paragraph like you would write a personal statement or a university application essay. It just needs to be clear. It needs to be a list of, you know, if you want, it can just be a numbered list of bullet points as to specifically why the company should hire you. There are no rules when it comes to cover letters other than some of these tips that I'm sharing in this video. Now again, if you're applying to 5,000 jobs all at once, you can't go above and beyond for all of them. But if you know you really want that job, if you know that MKBHD is hiring and you really want to work for him, or that Ali Abdal is hiring and you really want to work for him, or whatever other company you admire is hiring and you can maybe reach out to their hiring manager, try and go above and beyond in your application because this really sets you apart from the crowd. Now, the example I want to use here is a chap called Ryan who applied for one of our videographer positions. Now, Ryan did not have, admittedly, that much experience, but he got an instant, like, you know, let's email this guy, let's invite him over to do a trial shoot day. And the reason he got that is because of the 400 people we had apply as videographers when I was hiring, he was the only one who made a video. He made a video. It had a few issues like lighting and color grading and stuff, but like, he made a video. He made a video basically talking about why he wants to work for the team and why he likes the content, and put in a few jokes. And just going that little extra step, going above and beyond, meant that he got his foot into the door. And like, as soon as we saw that, we sent it around the team in our Slack group and we were like, oh my God, this guy actually really went above and beyond. Hell yeah, we need to interview him. Didn't care about his CV, didn't care about his experience. We're like, cool, we're gonna give him a shot. Unfortunately, things didn't really work out with Ryan. He didn't have the level of experience that we were looking for in the end, but we gave him a shot. Like, he got his foot into the door by just putting in a little bit of extra effort to go above and beyond. Even if you're not applying for a videographer, there are ways to go above and beyond for the thing that you are applying for. So for example, this is what one of our writer internship applications said. So this person has literally gone through the effort of ghostwriting an email newsletter that I would send, trying to do it in my tone, trying to talk about some philosophically thing that I might have discussed. This is going above and beyond. We did not ask people in the application for writer, researcher, intern to do work. We didn't say, hey, here's the trial task. But this person took an extra hour or so, maybe half an hour, to go above and beyond. So if you can go above and beyond in your applications for whatever job you're applying for, trust me, the employer will notice. They'll probably say to the team, oh my God, I think we found the person. Because like, again, this is the insight you get when you start hiring people. You don't realize it's just so hard. Everyone is like, we really want to hire someone who's really good. We want you to, in your application or in your DM or in your email or whatever, to make it easy to say yes to you, to be like, fuck, this is the person that we need. It would be so nice if more people kind of recognized that and therefore approached applying for jobs with that in mind. And to be honest, even if you're not in any kind of creative job, there are always ways to go above and beyond your application. There are always ways to think a little bit more ingeniously, creatively, show a bit more ingenuity when it comes to the application. All right, the next tip is to really understand the vibe of the people who are hiring you and pass the vibe check. So this is the wrong way to do it, for us anyway. Dear hiring manager, in my search for a new challenge where I can leverage my writing and editing experience, I was pleased to an opening for writer-researcher intern at Alibaba Limited. Eager to learn more about this exciting opportunity, I have enclosed my CV for your review. As my career profile illustrates, I'm well prepared to meet and exceed your expectations, having served at ... There's a few things wrong with this. Number one, it's addressed to the hiring manager. Like, no one wants to be referred to as dear hiring manager. It's just like not really a nice thing. Secondly, they've used really formal language, having closed my CV for review, and like very formulaic language, I want to meet and exceed your expectations. This makes it sound like a very dry, boring as hell corporate gig. And if this person has any semblance of like the sort of vibe of the company that we're trying to create here, it is like the opposite of corporate. We don't do corporate. Like if you watch any of the content, any of the vlogs, any of the podcasts, hopefully it creates a vibe of like friendly, I say hey friends in videos. I don't say hello there or dear sir or yours sincerely. Like that's not the vibe. And so seeing something like that, even if the person has like a lot of experience, it kind of makes you think a bit, they don't really get it. They don't really get the vibe. And I think people make this sort of mistake when going from the corporate world, where it's very stuffy and formulaic and like big, long writing, to applying for startups that tend to be younger, fresher, more of a sort of casual, chill kind of vibe. Here's another example of it done badly. To whom it may concern, red flag there, that's way too formal. It's not that hard to find out who's going to be reading your application. Dear Ali and team or hey Ali and team would have been way better. Bilingual and in my second year of studies, I'd like to express my motivation for the writing, researching, internship, analytics, I'm break the pivot, I'm confident I will feel curious and hardworking, my participation. Okay, this person knows how to write in a complicated way, probably in a university essay or in a school essay. But that's not the way that you want to write if you're trying to get a job at our company, because again, our vibe is a lot more casual and chill than that. Now, if you pass the vibe check, that brings us on to our next piece of advice, which is please don't bullshit. I want to show you some examples of what bullshit looks like. While at university, I have spent time building teamwork and time management skills. I'm focused and diligent when managing workloads and prioritizing tasks to meet deadlines. I thrive in environments where I'm able to make a direct impact around me. I love solving blah, 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 blah. So this is a bunch of buzzwords and bullshit that is not substantiated by anything at all. I would much have preferred if this was just a bullet points of here are the things I'm good at and here is evidence as to why I'm good at them. But they've tried to craft this sort of flowery narrative that's not backed up by anything at all. And that when you're a hiring manager or when you're someone in the team or when you're me reading applications and reading like dozens and dozens and dozens of applications, it's just like, this person is just spewing out a lot of hot air and not actually giving any substance. Here's another one, dear sir or madam, which is again, bad sign because we're not a sir, madam kind of vibe. Maybe other companies might be. One of the things here is I enjoy innovation and love to experiment with different ideas. I'm known for inspiring and devising original thought-provoking concepts. There is no evidence that this person is known for inspiring and devising original thought-provoking concepts. If you're gonna say something like that, then you need to substantiate it with, for example, when I did XYZ, I blah, 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 and this was thought-provoking and original because of blah, blah, blah. Like, no one is gonna take your word for it if you, like, unless you're like a famous philosopher, unless you're Plato, then you can get away with saying, I'm known for inspiring thought-provoking concepts. But if you're writing like a job application for an internship or a job, it just like, I don't know, it just screams of a little bit of BS-y. So overall message is that if you are gonna make a claim, try and substantiate it to some degree with actual details of the reason why you're making that claim. And if you're not, then don't try and bullshit your way in. Don't try and pretend that you're something that you're not. I would much prefer it if I saw a cover letter that was like, hey Ali, I'm gonna be honest, I don't have the experience needed for the role, but here are the reasons why I think you should hire me anyway. Bang, 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 bang. Sick. This is perfect. I'd be like, oh my God, this person is honest. This is refreshing. One of our values is keeping it real. Like this person understands. Even though they don't have the experience, they're not trying to bullshit their way through it. They're leading, they're being honest up front. They're leading with value. They're telling me why I should hire them. And then I'd be much more likely to consider that person rather than the person who's formulated this kind of hot air balloon of stuff that's not substantiated with actual evidence. Now, this is the thing that all writing advice on the internet says. When we are in school or when we're doing essays at university, generally you write in a way that's not very clear. You use big words rather than short words because big words make you sound more intelligent. You use utilize rather than use. You use, I don't know, however, rather than but. Like, Basically, we are taught and encouraged to use big words to sound intelligent. When you're trying to apply for a job, people can see through that. Like, no one wants to read big words. George Orwell has this like interesting document about like advice on writing. What he says in this is never use a big word when a shorter word would suffice. Like, there's absolutely no need for it. This role would allow me to utilize my skills is bad. This role would let me use my skills is a lot better. It's a lot simpler. Like, a kid could understand it. You're not trying to be fancy or flowery or like whatever in your language. If you don't know how to write like this, if you have only been taught in school and at university and essays and stuff to write like an absolute prick, then what you want to do is you want to follow people like David Perel or Dickie Bush, or read books like On Writing Well. Those books will and those resources will teach you basically how to make your writing sound more conversational. Really, it's all about writing as if you'd speak and coming across as a clear communicator rather than trying to sound like an intelligent communicator. All right, our next point is to dial in your level of enthusiasm. Now here, I want to share some advice from Christian. So Christian was the first employee that we had here at the company, and Christian has looked through, I think, probably hundreds of applications at this point for other video editors and graphic designers, and he has some strong opinions. So this is what he said. What worked for me is getting to the point fast, not writing thousands of words about how excited I am and what a fantastic person my childhood friends and family consider me to be. Starting with what I can do for the person I'm applying to instead of listing my extensive experience or fluffing up my qualifications tends to work. So he's leading with value. He's saying these are the things that I can do for you, rather than, oh my God, this is how excited I am to be working with you. Sounding like a giddy, excited child is just not my jam, but I've seen that in other applications. I would personally not hire a person who just exudes enthusiasm and excitement like a kid on Christmas, because I find that tiring to engage with, and in the end, it's just a demonstration of the halo effect, but for a company. Makes the person sound really needy. Rather, find out how much work I can offload to that person and whether it's going to get done well and on time, and whether I can have a discussion with them without wanting to strangle them. I'd also suggest tailoring the application to the person's interests instead of using a complete cookie cutter application. This works. Suggest how you could help with whatever side gigs the employer has, even if competence is not 100% in those areas, and definitely no dear sir, no excessive ass-kissing, no over-the-top lavishing of praise. I think this is fair enough. Like, I kind of like enthusiasm when I'm looking at job applications, but there is a level. There's like a good level of enthusiastic. For me, that would be something like, hey Ali, I just want to say I really love your content, been watching you for the last 4 years, and working with you would be amazing. Here are the reasons why I think you should hire me. Bang, 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 bang. That's like a good level of enthusiasm. But there's in quite a few of these applications, there's sort of like 2 paragraphs of like, oh my God, you've changed my life in all these different ways, which is very nice to hear, but it's not really the sort of thing you want to see in someone that you're hiring. And one piece of advice that a lot of creators often give and get is that, in a way, you don't want to be hiring someone who's too much of a fanboy or a fangirl, because generally then that leads to like this kind of weird power dynamic where really when I'm hiring someone, I want to hire someone who's better than the job at me. If I'm hiring a video editor, I want them to be a better video editor than I am. If I'm hiring a videographer, I want them to be better than I am. I don't want them to be thinking, oh my God, the ground that Ali walks on is haloed, and that is sometimes the vibe we get from some of these applications. So keep that in mind. If you are applying to work for someone who is well known or someone whose stuff you've admired, you can say that, but you don't want to make it sound as if you're like ultimate fanboy kind of trying to do anything to get their attention. All right, next tip we have is to be paranoid. Let's have a look at one of these cover letters as an example. Again, apologies to whoever wrote this in. I don't know the names. I've asked Dan, our hiring person, head of HR, to redact all of the things. So I'm not throwing shade at anyone, but it's just a good example. My name is whatever, and I am interested in the something job you have offered on LinkedIn. It's not how you spell LinkedIn. This seems like my type of role, as I really enjoy writing and really enjoy reading. I write poems for fun and have just started getting into screenwriting. I am based in and have a certificate of higher education, A level, and a GCSE in English Literature and Language. I'm very interested in something as a company would really love the opportunity to demonstrate my skills in detail and creativity. Thank you. Okay, so bunch of spelling and grammar issues there. Like, this is really obvious stuff. If you are applying for a job,
honestly, don't you two read?
Please take the time to look over your application and just make sure it doesn't have any basic errors in it. This person has got like at least 4 typos in this. Those could easily be sorted by just writing it in Google Docs and seeing where is it flagging up typos. Using something free like Grammarly. I'm not sponsoring our channel yet, but Grammarly, if you're watching this, do please reach out. Like, it's so easy these days to use apps and tools and stuff. Even, honestly, even if English is not your first language, Grammarly will just do it for you. Google Docs, autocorrect, all these things will just do it for you. Do that, and remember that your cover letter is really your first impression. You want to put your best foot forward. However, like whatever this person's experience is, this is such a red flag in an application to see such blatant typos. And this person probably spent 20 minutes, half an hour doing the whole application, doing the trial task. It's a real shame because it's just gotten rid of, again, in the position of a hiring manager or head of HR or any recruiter looking at dozens, if not hundreds of applications, if you see typos, you just chuck it in the bin because it's just not worth it. It shows a lack of attention to detail, which is not the thing that you want in that person that you're trying to hire. So we've already talked about how Ryan the videographer created a video and sent it in. You don't need to be a videographer and editor to be able to send in a video application. This is actually a tip that a bunch of people I know who have gotten interesting jobs have done. They just recorded a loom or a video on their phone and they have uploaded it to YouTube as an unlisted video and said, hey, John, really excited to apply for a job at company X. I've made a quick video to accompany my application. Hope you like it. And it's very chill, and you watch the video and like, oh, wow, this person is showing their personality. This is a real person. I get their vibe. They seem enthusiastic. They took in the time to actually make a video. No one does that. We have had thousands of applications for roles in my team, and I think 3 people in total, one of which was a videographer and the other 2 were random looms, have thought to send in a video. Like, if you're gonna work for a company that specializes in video, you could just send a video. It's not that hard. You don't need to be a fancy video editor. Or even better still, you could say, hey, I don't have any experience in video editing, but I took your Skillshare class, which you've recommended a bunch of times in videos. It was pretty good. In a weekend, I learned the basics of video editing, and so I've put this video together for you. Honestly, if someone emailed us with that kind of application, I'd be like, you know what? This person, gold stars all around. They have taken the time to even learn how to edit videos. They've taken the time to send in a video. And like, again, when you're a hiring manager looking at dozens of applications, they all sort of start to blend into one, and you start just like looking at little things here and there. But if someone sends you a video, you're probably gonna watch the video because you're like, oh, great, I'll grab a cup of tea or coffee or something, I'll watch the video, and then that person then becomes an actual person. It doesn't become like another, okay, candidate number 126, candidate number 484. It becomes a real person that you see, and you're far more likely to then offer them another chance to prove themselves through a trial task or through the next stage of the interview process if you have seen a video initially. So whatever job you're applying for, whether it's with me, whether it's anyone else, or whatever your next job is, honestly, even if it's something super traditional like law, sending a video is an absolutely underrated thing that you can do. It's very easy to do. Just go on Loom, go on video, figure it out. If you're the sort of person who's applying for a job and you actually deserve to get that job, you should be able to figure out how to make a video and use that to accompany your application. It really will stand out. All right, so the final tip is a little bit of a secret. And if you get this right, then you probably will never have to look for a job ever again. And that tip is actually to whatever you're doing, just do the thing really well. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner, has a great phrase when he worked as a lawyer. He said, the best source of legal work is the work that is already on your desk. Whatever job you're in, whatever you're doing, if you do a good job at it, then loads of good things will happen. It will be obvious to everyone that you work with that this is an A player. This is a fantastic person to work with. And even if you leave the company, your next employer who's going to ring up your previous company and ask for references, like if someone rang me up and asked for references for example, I don't know, I'm going to say Johnny because we don't have Johnny on our team, and Johnny was genuinely really good but then left for whatever reason, I'd be like, oh my God, Johnny is absolutely sick. He's like one of the best people we've ever had. Like I would hire him in a heartbeat. And if I can tell another employer that is basically going to guarantee Johnny the job. But if Johnny was a bit shit, if he wasn't very good at his job, if he was a bit half-assed about the whole thing, if I felt like, he just isn't really performing. Now if someone rings me up and says, hey, Johnny says he worked for you. Like, how do you feel about giving him a reference? Or like, what did you think he was like? I wouldn't be like, Johnny was awful. I'd be like, yeah, I think he did his role reasonably well. And reading between the lines, the person on the other end of the phone knows that if you ring someone up for a reference and they're not absolutely glowing and lavishing praise at someone, that's basically code for this person was not very good. So whatever you're doing, try and do it really, 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 really well. For anyone in my team who happens to be watching this video, if you're do an amazing job at your thing and then you move on to the next thing, me as the employer, I will be like absolutely freaking delighted to give you an incredible reference. And that will basically guarantee you a job wherever you're going next, because a reference from an employer is worth so much to a company that has like a proper hiring process. And the other reason why you actually want to perform really well, especially if it's a thing that you can actually get like portfolio and stuff out of, is that through performing really well at your job, you will just naturally connect with other people who are really, really good. Other kind of A players, whether it's in your industry or in your company or in outside of the industry. And kind of A players can recognize other A players. This is a thing that all the hiring books say. And generally, if you find another A player, you'll probably find that they're also potentially looking for someone for their company or looking for someone to hire for their thing. And it's like, in a way, it creates this virtuous cycle where if you are good at the thing that you're doing, everyone is going to want to hire you, everyone is going to want to work for you, and you'll never need to find another job ever again. So that was 16 tips on how to apply for your next job, how to land your next job application. If you enjoyed this video and you want to start building up that experience, then check out this one, which is 7 side hustle ideas you can start right now this year. And honestly, having side hustles and building up side hustles, especially if you're applying for a job like this or in any kind of creative industry, or even if you're not, even if it's super, super traditional, showing that you have done interesting things outside of your job, built things up on the side in your own time, taken the initiative, will be a massive plus for basically every employer in the world. So check out that video over there. Thank you so much for watching. Do hit the subscribe button if you aren't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.